Murph and Dirk, yeah, Blue Light Special. So I don't have the video on my name, so there's no opening video tonight. But without Derek being here, this was going to be a train wreck, anyways. So it's better just to start that way. So, hail chat. Let me put my phone on silent so everyone's not hearing that. Chat, let me know if there's anything wrong with the stream. It shouldn't be, but as I already said, things are gonna go a little crazy tonight. So originally, tonight's show was actually gonna be 80s versus 90s cartoons because Derek grew up more with the 80s and I with the 90s, and I thought of it just by watching all the Super Bowl commercials, especially seeing the new Transformers. And I was telling Derek, I think that's going to be bigger than the regular ones because of the Beast Wars animated show. That was a big show, and so I think they're going to do really well. But before we get into all that 90s cartoon goodness, hail Jason Black, hail Crazy Mad, hail Mo Biggs. That's all who we've got in the chat right now. I know sometimes people come in late. We're not always great with starting the show, but make sure you like, subscribe, uh, send it to all your friends. Anything on Twitter for us to get the love. We definitely want to get over those 200. We want to get to 200 subscribers. We've been staying at 197 for a little bit. So I'm looking through. I wonder if I can bring up everyone's. Can I bring up? Ooh, I have the power now. So, first, let's bring up the question of the week. Would you rather live in a house that is incredibly unique and beautiful, but plain on the inside, or one that is incredibly unique and beautiful on the inside, but plain on the outside? Like when you say unique and beautiful, are you saying Crazy Mad that like the rooms and everything aren't the same? Like it's kind of that whole new type of stuff they've got going on? I mean, who would want? I mean, I guess on the outside would look cool. Everyone would think you'd have something awesome, but then if it's plain on the inside, I think too selling it's probably better to have a nice inside than outside. If you're ever going to put the house on the market, I'm going to say definitely on the inside, Crazy Mad. Did anyone else even talk about it? Oh, okay. So Jason said, I think I'd go for either if I asked on a different day. Sometimes I think the inside is just for work, sleep, and watch silly YouTube streams. Yeah, that's us. And go outside for beauty and peace. Boy, too. I think it depends where you live too, right? Like here in Ohio, you're much more inside just because of the long winters. But if you live like in Florida, right, you're going to be outside all the time. In California, you won't be in your house as much. And you also put, yeah, the inside is a big part of your mental state. Yeah. I think you'd always be happier with the inside than the out, right? Because even if you're outside, you're not like outside looking at your house. Like you're on the outside on the porch or in your backyard or outside, just not anywhere near your house. Yeah, I think I want everything on inside since I'm going to be in there. Okay, so we didn't go much off of this. Well, okay, Jason. Picturing a Zen garden property. I would like running water. Like, I love the whole Asian look. Like, I'd like some plants and actual running water to be in the house. I don't know what's hard to understand but unique and beautiful. Uh, I think Murph was hinting that unique furniture may not be particular. Dude, there is some of that weird furniture out there. Oh, hail good stuff. All right, and then you guys already started talking about some of the cartoon stuff. You guys were talking about Picard season 3, which I heard Picard's terrible. Um, so you talked a little bit more about Picard. People have been saying season 3 is good. I can't believe there's already a season 3. I didn't even know. Yeah, I agree with you, Jason. There is so much shit on entertainment anymore. Like, really, someone does have to tell me it's good for me to even try. So Crazy Mad's been liking it. Mo Big says Star Trek related. Oh, here we go. The first thing with the 90s is gargoyles changed me. I think I had a premonition dream about it before it aired. So you actually had a dream of stone gargoyles coming to life? And did you have the whole like Alexander stuff? I thought Gargoyles was a great cartoon. I don't know how it's never been made live action because I think they'd be awesome. They all looked really, really cool. Um, I felt like they did a lot with each character, that they had their own voice. And oh, I was just gonna say that. Does Gargoyles hold up? I remember being great in the '90s. I thought the writing was so good, and they even had a lot of like good characters turn bad or bad characters turn good. Um, I can't remember like the guy who bought them and put them above the clouds so they were able to break was bad for a long time, then good, and so was the bluish green female gargoyle that she was bad, then she turned good, and it always seemed to make sense. I thought it was really good. I wonder how many seasons was on it. Yeah, Batman the Animated Series is solid. I even still think that art um is just so cool. It still holds up. Like it doesn't feel like it's behind in the times. And I mean, I think the best thing about Batman is when they do more with like the mafia type of stuff. I think that's awesome, and that Batman really does kind of get into that. Yes, this is opposite day where Dirk skips. Yes, it is. You know, it's February 14th, so yes, very opposite day for Valentine's Day. Um, let's see. Sorry, everyone, I'm trying to catch up. Okay, here we go. All right, so Mobig says if the topic is starting, peak Simpsons. That's very true. Yeah, there's a good 4 to 5 years of seasons of The Simpsons in the '90s. I loved Ren and Stimpy. Oh my gosh, I thought it was so funny. I even got a Ren and Stimpy fart. Uh, what would they be called? They were like these fluffy. They're not dolls. I mean, I guess you could call them dolls, but you could make them fart by squeezing their stomach. And I remember bringing it in second grade, and everyone thought that was hilarious and funny. Yeah, powdered toast, man, all that stuff with Ren and Stimpy was great. I never got into Beavis and Butthead. I don't know if I just didn't like that they had so much music videos and it wasn't like a real like show. Like you'd only get clip. Like I thought the clips were great, but I don't. I never wanted to to watch the music in between. I always wanted to be a regular show. And I did see the movie, and I remember loving the movie. I think I was in second grade for that, or first grade. Um, but boy, I don't know if Beavis and Butthead holds up. Yeah, Tiny Toons with the Animaniacs. That stuff was great. They had the good feathers instead of the good fellas. Yeah, really, really good stuff. Darkwing Duck. Yeah, Disney had all these afternoon shows. Um, Man, you guys are going so fast. Yeah, so we got Beavis and Butthead and Ren and Stimpy. Uh, oh, really? Batman can be a slog? It's been so long. I do own it. I bought it on Vudu, but I haven't watched them. I think everyone liked the Animaniacs. I mean, they were hugely possible. Mo did like Dexter's Laboratory. See, I think if we did an 80s versus 90s, I think 90s is going to kill. Like Derek was thinking 80s was great, but you've got like Dexter, that was such a funny show. That Dexter was great. Yeah, Ninja Turtles. Um I didn't look up when the Turtles started. I thought it would have been the 90s, but are you saying, Mo, they actually started late 80s? Um and that's is I don't know. Could that be? 91 is when it was ending? I thought they were truly 90s. Yeah, you said the 80s seasons were better. Boy, oh boy, I don't remember. I loved the Turtles, but I don't remember a lot of the cartoon. Like I remember those aliens that they would go on. They'd have these flying cars. I can't think of what their name, but I remember that being weird because they went to them with like Dimension X, uh, the Brains hometown where they were like he had all these rock armies. Gargoyles live action would be hard to pull off. Well, I think they'd have to be CGI'd, right? All of them. You'd have to. You have to CGI gargoyles because I mean Goliath. I don't know. They ever talk their height? He's got to be what, like at least 8 feet, right? Compared to everyone else on the show, like even is Bronx the dog? Because they're all named after. Because there's Brooklyn. I think Bronx is the dog, right? I mean, he'd have to be CGI'd. He's huge. Oh, Pinky and the Brain. Oh man, that song's in your head. That was great too. Man, the Turtles started in '87. I guess you'd have to say they're '80s then. That's way too. If it was '89, it started. I could say, oh, you could still consider it, but that sucks. You'd have to put them in the '80s then. Oh, we'll probably have an '80s versus '90s because it's not like the '80s don't have good cartoons. I just think the '90s, and you could even see it movies like with Spider-Man. Like everyone watched that animated show. Like even before the MCU became big, the X-Men and Spider-Man and Batman shows. I think is what really got so many people into that stuff, and why they're still all successful. Hollywood shouldn't be allowed to make their action remakes until they've learned the lessons of the past decade. Hollywood's always really slow to learn, though. They'd make gargoyles horrible. It's already close to perfect and timeless. This is kind of I don't have the Disney Plus right now. I usually only get it when they've got something going on. Like I was gonna get it again in March because I think the Mandalorian's uh, coming on. I just don't like to give them my money if I'm not actively using. But you guys are making me want to watch Gargoyles again. I forget a lot, but I remember like the whole thing, like they were backstabbed. Like even the story of how they turned into gargoyles, like how they stated it and then came back to life in modern day because of whatever the guy's name was actually was it a prophecy or something? Is that what happened? And why they were able to come out of the stone because he had them up so high. I just remember it was so cool because it wasn't like they were just in the the Dark Ages, but they did have Alexander and the Round Table, and I think they even had Merlin. And isn't there even stuff with like Merlin and things like that in the future too? And like, there's a lot of like, doesn't there become a gargoyle that survived their backstabbing, and he's like half robot, half gargoyle? I just remember there was like a lot. Like, it wasn't your normal cartoon of just recycling stuff. They had long term stories going on, so it would be interesting what they would do. The movies, Hail Immortal Rising. It didn't end in 91, but the episodes weren't as good. Adding Jar Jar type characters like Zack and get rid of. Wait, is Zack like the blonde kid that would dress up like he would have like a green bandana and like a backpack shell? Is that who Zack was? I can't. They got rid of Michelangelo's nunchucks. That's crazy because Leonardo has swords. I do remember that though. Like, parents were complaining about stuff, especially the weapons, um, which is just stupid. Hail Immortal Rising. Mo the Legend Biggs. Yeah, Bronx is the dog. Okay. Because, right, they're all, well, not Goliath, but aren't they all named after cities in New York? Because, yeah, Brooklyn's the red one, right? He's like the second in command. I forget the old guy's name. I can't remember any of them now. Just watched Aliens, and I'd rather a practical effect. Can you do that though? A practical effect gargoyle movie? Like, I mean, I guess you could do. I mean, in the 90s, the Turtles looked really good practical effects. It's just like, who. I feel like that, like how big the Hulk is how big Goliath should be, right? Shouldn't he be that big? Like, he's freaking huge. I think if you did practical, even if the suit's a little bigger than the actor inside, it's still not gonna, right? Wouldn't it look weird? Like, Brooklyn and the rest of them, they're smaller, so you could do that with them. I don't I think you have to CGI it. I really do. Turtles, the movie had to be in the 90s. There's no way that was the 80s. Turtles started trends. Well, they definitely, pizza was like a huge I mean, pizza was always big, but I think the Turtles really put that in the hearts and minds of everyone. Trends that define the 90s. I guess making like jokes and right, because they were kind of always joking and would have nicknames for each other. So even though they were brothers, you kind of had this whole friend thing, where I'd say that was a big thing in the 90s, or even like being being attention seeking, like the whole knot thing and just being annoying. I think that came from the Turtles too. Yes, the topic is cartoons, but we could definitely talk about cartoons becoming movies. Like, what could you do with like the Animaniacs and their show? Brooklyn, yes, Hudson, because Brooklyn was the red one, right? And then Hudson was the green one who liked to eat. Lexington was the yellow, smallest one in Bronx. Demona was the blue girl. Yeah, and she was. I don't know if she ended up still being good, but you even understood why she was bad and evil, because she watched everything happen to her family, right? When they got screwed over and had to stay in concrete, and she didn't, right? Didn't she actually live all those years and saw a lot of shit to really hate human beings? Um, Man, this is really making me want to watch this again. Angela's the human girl, right? Yeah, watch Gargoyles. It was a spell. it literally tells you in the opening song. I didn't even know they have a song for gargoyles. Tales from the Crypt Keeper. Yeah, that was good. I love being scared. It sucks. Horror movies don't scare anymore. It's more like body horror. Yeah, I agree. Man, Jason, you're really making me want to watch it. Yeah, Zach is the blonde turtle. You're right. That was a stupid character. Oh man, Kings of the Hill, Space Ghost, South Park. Wow, South Park was huge. Oh man, I remember. I haven't watched it in forever, but I remember loving that first season. That whole thing where his mom impregnated herself. It could have been the whole roster of the 1987 Denver Broncos. Just stuff like that was just hilarious. And Cartman, oh, such a good show. Kenny always dying. People used to complain about dumb stuff, and the media listened. Now we have legit complaints, and the media says, "Do more of that." So they'll hate watch. That hate watching's a big thing, though, isn't it? I think a lot of people were hate watching the new Lord of the Rings. I only got through 3 episodes, and I love Lord of the Rings, but to me, God, nothing was going on. Yeah, King of the Hill and South Park. It's crazy. South Park's still going. I remember we all kept trying to see it in the movies, the South Park movie, and none of the boy. What did South Park come out like 96, 97? So I'm thinking like we were like probably 15, but no theaters would let us go in to see South Park. They were adamant about it. But we bought another movie and then sneaked into that. And so we did watch it. But I remember it was tough. We tried like 3 or 4 different times until it finally happened. How about mixed practical CGI? I just don't I feel like you could do the Ninja Turtle stuff with all of the gargoyles except for Goliath. He's huge, not just tall, but like his chest and his feet. Rest in peace, Dirk. Hail, reading radio. Gosh, you guys go so quick, it's hard to keep up. Mo Biggs is a party, dude. Wait a minute. Oh, she's purple, isn't she? I totally forgot about her. Who's the girl? Who's the human girl then? Because isn't she a big character? I forgot about that though. Man, I think you guys are going to make me. Yeah, Lisa, that sounds right. Because isn't she like a Spanish cop or maybe Cuban? I don't know. Hail, Michael Bancroft. I'm surprised Murph isn't more nostalgic for Franklin the Turtle, Rupert, or Arthur. I don't know who any of these are. Who is Franklin the Turtle? Rupert or Arthur? I have no idea what that is. That's definitely not a gargoyle thing. Demona became immortal so long as Macbeth was alive. Their lives were bound together. So Macbeth was trying to kill. See, that's freaking awesome. See, man, they really could do some cool stuff with movies. That was really, I mean, because who doesn't like Alexander, and who doesn't like Macbeth, and all that. dark times or times of the nights. I mean, that's just awesome. And even for a kids cartoon, they did really have good writing. And Disney owns it. I is Does Gargoyles only have that one cartoon and that's it? Is that the only thing they've ever done with it and it's basically just been nothing else? Yeah. Go watch Gargoyles again and get back to us to a Gargoyles stream. I don't think Derek knows anything of the Gargoyles. Like, he might know the name and know Goliath. I bet he doesn't even know Goliath, that's his name. I don't think he's watched it at all. I don't think we've even ever really even talked about it. But yeah, I'll have to get Disney Plus and watch it because you reminded me. I just remembered it did have some really good stories, especially because I was a kid at that time, and I even watched it. I was thinking like, man, this is some serious stuff. Like for a cartoon. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Crazy man. I was like Derek. There's no. I mean, there's some good like Transformers and GI Joe. Yeah, those are great, but that's like it. The 80s really didn't have what the 90s had. And I just think overall it was better. Like, I don't know why. I mean, I know I grew up at that time, but it just was. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, what about X-Men? Jason, I the X-Men are my favorite thing of anything. Like, I feel like Chris Claremont's time is great. Now the cartoon is great, but I like Claremont. That's the best X Men, especially Colossus and Nightcrawler. I'm a little worried about the new X Men that they're going to continue it from where it left off with Professor X leaving and Magneto being the leader of the X Men. I really want them to bring Colossus and Nightcrawler into the group. I mean, in the show, they were both in it at least once, maybe I think Colossus was probably in it a couple times. Nightcrawler might have only been in one episode, but they definitely had him. Like they pretty much had every X Men in an episode. Like even Iceman and Angel was in a few, especially with Apocalypse. And yeah, oh, the X Men show was great. Uh, Outside of the comic, it's the best story that the Dark Phoenix has. What they did in the comic, and think of how good that cartoon was. It didn't even come out episode after episode how it was supposed to because they had problems with financing. That things weren't even in order of what you watched them, and the show was still that great. And the whole thing of that, even back then, episodes went into other episodes. You didn't get that in cartoons. Um, and so, yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't read your whole thing. What about the X Men? I'm here to talk about comics because of X Men Animated. It was on a Saturday morning, and I bought my first X Men comics from the corner store by my house. So, my uncle was a huge comic. My uncle was about 10 years older than me. So, I think so. He was either 18 or 19 when he got me into comics. And he kind of got me into comics right before the X Men show came on because he told me and my cousin that we would love it, and so he got us a couple comics to read before it. And yeah, I mean, man, Wolverine to me is the greatest character in literature of all time. I think uh, it's there's so much about him. Hell, mom. So Franklin the Turtle is a children's book. Did they have an animated show about Franklin the Turtle? Because I am not picturing anything in my head when it comes to Franklin the Turtle. The cartoon was perfect gateway to the 11-year-old to go back. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Oh man, I remember going to a Rite Aid and they'd have comics there. My first comics were the Ninja Turtles, the Ninja Turtle Archie Adventures, but then it was the X Men, and I got the cheap X Men classic again with Nightcrawler and Colossus, and it's just amazing. Yeah, Spider Man the animated show that was great too. I mean, Spider Man was very funny. He was very good at making fun of the villains, which you really didn't get that in much things. I mean, Batman never did that. The X-Men would do it, especially if they tried to make Wolverine funny in the animated show. He was always saying something, trying to be funny. See, I think Thundercats and He-Man would be 80s though, wouldn't it? I I remember Thundercats, but I was really I think I was kindergarten age. Like I was really young for the Thundercats. So I'm thinking Thundercats was 80s. And I feel like unless that's your point here, Immortal, Thundercats, G.I. Joe, and He-Man. I don't know what Robotech is. If that was 80s that you're dropping the mic, that's better than the 90s. But yeah, X-Men is legendary. I think they're still good. I have watched them again on Disney's Plus, and yeah, they're great. Man, the characters, their voices, it's just perfect. Like honestly, when that show came on, Rogue and Gambit, like their voices to me from reading the comics, that felt like how they should sound though. Like the only one that I think was off was Storm. Like she's like over dramatic with stuff. But I still think they did well what they were going for with Storm. You could learn the current lineup of characters well enough to want to go and continue reading about them. Yep, very true. Yeah, X-Men is just so good. 90s had some good X-Men cartoons, but the 80s was the start and best of them all. Hail, Rick Sailor. Uh, the 80s was the start. Well, what in the 80s was the start and best of them all? Boy, oh boy, you guys are. Yeah, I mean that's. Oh man, how much did they sell of that? Because I bought 4 just to get all the covers, and then I ripped all the covers off and taped them together and put them on my wall. I mean, Jim Lee, I think Logan's face, like when he doesn't have the mask on, I think Jim Lee draws the best Logan. It's like, yeah, yeah, those were all 80s, Rick. Yeah, that's good. Hey, the whole 80s versus 90s isn't that the 80s wasn't good. It's good, but the 90s is just amazing. There's probably shows that we haven't even talked about yet that was in the 90s. I'm just going off. So Dirk may have been the Franklin the Turtle fan on the show, given the intense interest and the Frankenbill. You know what? I tried watching The Last of Us. I liked the first episode, but I hated. I think one of the coolest things in your end time show, like even Walking Dead, is watching everything fall apart and how people survive. And like always, they only showed 15 minutes of it. And I hated that the girl saw blood on the floor, walked in it, and kept going. Like, I just hate when they have characters do stupid stuff. She should have ran out of the house once she saw that blood. Yeah, Robotech, I have no idea what that is. I have nothing. Well, the reason why the last season was bad is because they weren't getting money. Like, for whatever reason, the studio was always having them put like one hand behind their back. Dirk and Bill and Frank forever. See, the infestation started a long time ago. Boo, Murph. The Last of Us episode 5 was pretty good. Pudgy soccer mom warlord notwithstanding. So I don't know. I'm trying. The Last of Us just isn't clicking for me. I liked the first episode. I think it's the second episode where they're out and the female co-star gets bit, so she has like the bomb go off, so they're not. I don't know. Right now, there's nothing like hooking me. I'll probably watch episode 3, but I didn't binge it. I know you guys were saying it was good. I still haven't seen the episode that you guys got all on Dirk for. I'm sure Bancroft showed up to see Dirk's love of episode 3. Yeah, so I haven't seen that. Yeah, I haven't seen that third episode. I guess I have to watch that just to see if it's as bad as what everyone says, or if you guys are just picking on Derek. I don't know why you keep showing up to be insulted by shows that hate you. What do you mean by shows that hate? I don't know why you would keep showing up to be insulted by shows that hate you. Oh, you mean like the shows are woke and hate anything that doesn't have to do with it? I don't judge. Wow, I finally got caught up to you guys. It's crazy how fast you guys can go. I don't know how Derek keeps up with it. It is as bad as everyone says. That episode 3, I'm gonna need to see exactly how gay it is myself. Like, do they not even? Is the third episode like? Are the main characters not even shown, and it's just these two guys like holding their hands as they like dance through the zombie apocalypse? What I did like though about the show, I played the game, but I played more of the online multiplayer of The Last of Us. I didn't. I really thought they just had weird looking heads. I didn't realize it was a fungus because they really aren't zombies, even though that's the closest thing you could get to. I kind of like that the fun. I hope they go more into that because I thought that was really cool, especially showing that doctor who she said just bomb everyone. Like that's the only way to stop it from can't ah stop it from why can't I say containment? Stop bomb everyone so they can contain it so it can't go to the rest of the world. And like she realized, and I guess they didn't do it then because this thing definitely got out of their country. The episode is an hour long. 45 minutes of it is gay. That's so weird. Why would they decide to do that? Like, why has anyone here watched any The Last of Us? What are you doing? Stop making that a thing. I didn't. I thought it was gonna. So, the first video game, I know it was very successful. Um, but it's hard for me to get into games. Like I usually like a game and then I'm only going to play that game for like 6 months. Like I was really into Overwatch. I kind of like the online multiplayer cuz I feel like rather play humans than computers cuz computers are never as fun. So I usually go to like the Call of Duties, things like that. But I thought the second one of The Last of Us 2 was very woke for what they did to the main character and all that, and even then the evil girl they had in it, and they were dealing with so much sexuality and everything like that. But everyone here was saying no, it was a good show to watch outside of episode 3. And Derek was saying it really wasn't woke, and everyone else was saying it's woke because there was all this gay stuff going on. So a lot of people here watched it and made it that it wasn't woke except for that episode. So Jason, it seems like a lot of people like it. I'd say what I've seen, I haven't seen anything woke in the first 2 episodes myself. But I get what you're saying. If that company is super woke, try not to give them any more money. Gays dancing through the apocalypse, the end of America, everybody. I didn't expect it could go full homo till the second season, Jason. Because game one game one, their first game was dope. But they went hard way earlier than expected. Has anyone watched the fourth episode? Is that woke as well, or did everyone stop after episode 3? The first game was decent and impressive in a lot of ways. Then they made it clear they hate you and they hate fun. It exists now to make the world miserable, and you are lining up for it. Yeah, I mean, that second one, I've never played it, but it did seem to be horrible, and the whole thing of like hating men, and yeah, it was a weird way. But then there's that's what I thought. So, comments mate, you're saying Jason is 100% correct? Boy, though, I mean, it really is. It's almost like what is out there that's not woke, though. You know what I mean? Like, there's almost like everything has a little ding. I'm trying to think of the last thing that was definitely not woke. Well, Spider-Man No Way Home, there was nothing woke in that, right? That was just a really good movie. I need to get into a show though. I haven't been into a show in a long time. Well, maybe I'll watch the Gargoyles. Maybe I can get Derek to watch it too, and we could do a whole thing on that if everyone's interested in it. Because for those who are out there, how many seasons did Gargoyles have? Because it did feel like they had a lot of stories, so they had to have, I would say, like at least 30 episodes, right? Maybe even like 50. That'd be interesting. Again, too, if they did a movie on Gargoyles, would you just start it that they're here and now? Would you go off the first like 3 episodes of the cartoon where it's going back in the past and now the future? Would you set it up as a trilogy? Would you want it more than a trilogy? Because they definitely have enough to go on. You know, Disney would want to. Or would you rather than make Gargoyles a live action TV show made for Disney Plus? So then it's not constrained. Because honestly, they're not like superheroes where you need to have explosions going off all the time, right? Even a lot of times they're just diving in and like punching and kicking people, right? It's so you don't need like laser eyes or anything like that, special effects. So it might actually be easier to make it a TV show. Dang it, sorry, chat. I started ranting and now I'm getting behind again. Mo says it's funny because the first Last of Us game was not woke at all. Yeah. Then Anita Sarkeesian visited the studio and they added a DLC with Ellie. Ellie wasn't a lesbian in the game at first. They actually did a DLC and had her become lesbian in the DLC, or did you know she liked girls just playing the first game without any DLC? I hate that I'm interested in the Flash. Man, even before all that stuff, I really never liked him as an actor. I don't know much about the Flash. I'm much more of a Marvel guy than a DC. It does look like it's a lot of action, and I do like that they brought back the bad guy from Superman 1, Zod. I thought he was really good in Man of Steel. So I like that. I don't know if I like Batman coming back when he's so old, because you can see the wrinkles in his face with the mask. But I mean, I don't like that that they have a female Superman. I think they're going to get bit on the ass of that. People are tired of that. Like, everyone's tired of that. You're interested in Keaton's Batman. It will be interesting. I mean, it looks like he's a main character in it, not like just to be in it a second. I'm not at all interested in the Flash. Yeah, the only way I'm seeing the Flash is if people say it's really good. There's 78 episodes? Holy crap. I think now, just talking out loud to myself, I'm talking to you guys, but I think I'd rather Gargoyles be a live action TV show. You know, give them 10 episodes, do like 5 seasons. Each season can have an overall theme. Oh, man. Yeah, 77 episodes. Man, though, that's a lot of episodes per season. That's crazy. Oh, yeah, Dragon Ball Z. Oh, I totally forgot. That was 90s, right? Dragon Ball Z. Uh, who really likes Dragon Ball Z? There was someone, I forget now. I think the subliminal brainwashing inserted in that cartoon and digested by young Dean may have been triggered by the Flash trailer. Mo says, yes, I don't know to what. I hate Dragon Ball Z. Most overrated cartoon ever. Oosh. I mean, I never thought Dragon Ball Z was bad. I was more confused about what was going on. But I wouldn't say it's bad or overrated. I mean, I think people who love it really love it, but I don't think that makes it overrated. You got that with anything. Abusive lesbian. Oh, from The Last of Us 2, right? I have an over 30-minute video roasting the Flash. I'm not paying for it. Yeah. Yeah. You were killing it with kindness. Do not see the Flash. Yeah, I mean, boy, I barely even go to the movies now. I was going to see the Avatar Way with Water, but I never went to see it. I don't know though. Is it any good to pirate? Like, doesn't it look crappy? Yeah, that Supergirl, that's stupid, man. I think that's gonna hurt them more than anything. I'll go see the Flash if I'm going to get laid out of it. There's a girl that's like, hey, take me to see Flash and you'll get some. With the Gargoyles, the voice actors really make it. So many of the Star Trek cast. Really? Oh, you're right. The main bad guy was number 2, right? And then his girlfriend was the voice of the female girl. Yeah, Goliath was Keith David. Oh man, his voice. Yeah, that's an awesome voice. Do you think he's almost like Optimus Prime where you have to have that voice again, right? Like, do you think you could give that to somebody else? I wonder how popular Gargoyles was. Like, no, when I was watching it, like, none of my friends were watching it. So I always thought Gargoyles wasn't popular. I don't want to watch a show without Jonah Franks as Xanatos. Xanatos sounds familiar, but I don't know who that is. The Flash won't get you laid. I know some loose. The Flash might get him laid as long as going wasn't his idea. Crazy Matt is going to look like such an alpha after 2 hours of Ezra Miller. Yeah, man, he's just weird. There's just something off. Like, even before all this stuff come up, you could just tell Ezra Miller, he's just not all there. Warner Brothers freaking loves him. Because not just the Flash, he was in the new Harry Potter Beast movies as a big role, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know why they casted him about Flash. Yeah, I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know why you let Henry Cavill go, who whoever's the next Superman's freaking screwed because he's perfect. He was like made to be Superman. And I think everyone loves Henry Cavill. So I don't know, man. I don't know how these people make millions of dollars and make these decisions. They're just so dumb. Like, so dumb. It's a bold strategy. Going to the Flash to get laid. That's hilarious. Oh, just you go to the Flash to get females hating betas, and so anything you do then looks ridiculously masculine. I wish I could bring up that. It's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see what happens. The last 6 Supermans were perfect too. The last 6 of them? I don't know about that. Because Christopher Reeves, yes, check, perfect. Whoever the Smallville actor was, he was great. That guy that they had for the Superman Returns, no. I guess he kind of looked like no, he wasn't good. 6. Who's the 2 I'm missing? Who are the 2 in between Superman Returns and Henry Cavill? Well, there's the TV show one, right? Oh, the 2 TV shows. There we go. So Lois and Clark, which I never really watched, and then the brand new one that they just did, which people did say it was really good. Was Dean? Yeah. So Brandon Roth, he's the Superman Returns, right? And then was Dean Cain though? Was he a good Superman? Does he in the show? Is he just Clark the whole time? Like, does he actually dress up as Superman and go out and save people? Like, is there any action in that show, or is that just a drama of Lois and Clark? I don't think I've even ever watched an episode of it. And I know people had good things to say about the new one. Whoever acted in that. Man, that's crazy that there's that many Superman, though. There's more Superman than Batman. That's nuts. Yeah, now you guys got me jonesing for gargoyles. Oh, so Dean Cain actually is Superman on the show. Was it a good show? Did any of you guys like it when it was on? I have no idea what I was watching when that show was on. And I never got through. I think I stopped watching Smallville like either season 4 or season 5, but I think it went like 10 seasons. I know when I did watch it, Smallville was really good. Was Smallville in the 90s? Was it? Or was that in the 20s or the 20s? The show is about Lois and Clark. Superman is a bit of a Deus Ex Machina to wrap up the plot and get some action. Starts strong, devolves after. Oh, who was Lex Luthor on the show? Was that a big or well-known actor at all? I didn't even know Lex Luthor was on it. Did they do the whole thing where Lex and him are friends? Because I really like that about Smallville. Because the only Superman comics I ever read were when he died, and then they had the 4 Supermen while he was dead and then came back. And that's all I've ever read of Superman. So when Lex Luthor was his friend in Smallville, I thought that was awesome because I never thought that was a thing, but I guess that was a thing. Like, I guess that wasn't something they just did, that's actually in Superman's backstory. Ooh, comment. Adam West, Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, and Robert Pattinson are all the Batmen. So I'm wrong. There's more Batman. Hmm. Man, I loved as a kid watching the Adam West. Ah, such a good show. And then the sound effects and the music and then the villains. Oh man, that was such a good show as a kid. And then watching the movie where the four of them grouped up to go against Batman and Robin, and oh man, that was such good times. I don't know who that is. Hook me up with the clip, thank you. Hmm. It's so it'll be interesting when we do a 90s versus 80s cartoon. I think Derek's gonna have to do his research just because I think the 90s can just wall up just with the amount. Because again, there's stuff we didn't even really talk about tonight. Like I thought Duckwing Duck was awesome. I remember loving that. Ren and Stimpy. We only talked about that for a couple seconds. I loved Ren and Stimpy. Of course, X Men. My God, like the X Men was so good. Like even Apocalypse and how he talked. It was just so well done. Like the voice acting was so well. Sabretooth sounded great. Magneto, like, man. Other than not having Nightcrawler and Colossus full time, that's the only thing I could say negatively about the X Men cartoon. Jubilee could be a little too much, too whiny, too stupid at times. But there's some great stuff in the X Men animated series. Like, I just like they did so well with character development. Like that whole thing when Morph comes back and he changes into Professor X and Wolverine can smell him and he starts freaking out because it's Morph and everyone's holding Wolverine back. And then Morph as Professor X says, kill him. And then Gambit goes, whoa, I never heard Professor X want to kill somebody. And he throws his card, which doesn't explode, but it scares Morph to hopping out of the chair. And just that's such a small scene so quickly, but just showed you so much about Wolverine and Gambit, and then solving the whole thing with Morph. Like that was just great. That Morph stuff's, great too. Like, man, you guys are gonna have me watching Gargoyles and X-Men all week. That doesn't count any animated. Oh, that's a good. Well, does Batman have anyone else's voice than oh, what's his name? He just passed away too. Because he did all the Arkham games and I thought the cartoons too. Uh Kevin is it Kevin Conroy? Is that his name? Well, then who did the Superman animated voices? Oh, cool. All right, I'll check that out, Jason. Thanks. There's also the young Bruce Wayne from Gotham. Oh, yeah. He kind of became Batman towards the end of the series. Yeah, Kevin Conroy. Is that what I said, or did I say something else? He's right. He did the Batman and like the Justice League. Derek says the Justice League cartoon's pretty good. I've never seen it, but I would like to get more into it if it's good. Boy, oh boy, I don't know what Derek will have for the 80s. There really doesn't seem much compared to everything we talked about. And again, there's probably stuff that, right? There's all the Disney stuff with like Tailspin and DuckTales and Darkwing Duck. There was Static Shock. I feel like there was a lot of actions. It sucks though that Ninja Turtles is more 80s. I really have to give him that. I can't say that's a 90s. But again, the first thing that we really didn't talk about it. I don't know if you guys liked it or not. You like Justice League and Young Justice. If you list of Batman actors doesn't have Kevin Conroy. Oh, nice. Yeah, dude. I mean, he is the voice of Batman. But the thing that really got me started to talking about this topic was the Super Bowl commercial of the new Transformers movie that has the Beast Works characters like the ape, and the cheetah, and that cartoon was awesome. Even though it was the 3D, I remember thinking watching it like, oh, this is so cutting edge with them being 3D. It probably doesn't hold up now if I watched it. But they even did stuff like that. I love when you can make characters twist and turn from evil and good and evil and change teams. I love that stuff. And I know that was a big thing of the Beast Wars. And they all just looked, honestly, I think Beast Wars looks cooler than automobiles. Like, it's cool that they can drive fast, but the beasts look way cooler. How they made the ape sound too in the trailer. How he roared and everything, and he looked awesome. Transformed into his full robot form. I think that I told Derek, Transformers Beast Wars, unless it is garbage story, I think it can make them the most money because I think the Beast Wars are much cooler than your regular Autobots. Even the villains, like when they had like the Wasp, and I mean they had a Tyrannosaurus Rex as Megatron. Like, come on, that's friggin' awesome. So we'll have to see. Yeah, Kevin Conroy. The dude who played Daenerys wannabe lover who got the plague in Game of the Thrones played Batman and Titan. Oh, that actor was the voice actor for Batman and Titans? Or are you talking about the Titans, the live action show? Because didn't they just do one on HBO that was live action, or is there a Titans cartoon and Batman was in it? Unless it is garbage, eh? There's the rub. Well, I mean, it can be, right. Like, a lot of the Transformer movies are not good. Like, oh, that's interesting that they had him as Batman. They really wanted an old Batman, though, didn't they? I never watched the Titans show. I don't know. I guess you only have so many things to watch. I think I'm going to watch Gargoyles, though. The one thing Beast Wars will have going for it, the CGI will certainly be a huge improvement over the Nintendo 64 looking graphic. Yeah, but I mean, during that time, it looked awesome, though, right? Like, they looked really cool. I thought they were cool. I don't I don't remember it being as good as like Gargoyles. It's so funny that everyone else liked Gargoyles. Yeah, watch Gargoyles. Yeah, I hope they went in and like remastered it. I hope it doesn't kind of have that old filmy look if there's like scrapes and stuff on it. But all right, so we've been trying to be good to not go over the hour because we've heard the hour hurts us with live streaming and with no Dirk here. I don't have anyone to make fun of, so it's a very more difficult when I got to run the show. But we did it. We did it without Dirk. So we now have proof that we don't need him. But we'll still have him. He tries. Okay. So again, like, subscribe, send out to Twitter World so we can get more people in on here. I'm thinking we're either going to probably talk 80s cartoons or maybe 80s versus 90s next Tuesday, unless there's something I or Derek really want to talk about if something uh, changes. But I guess we'll see. Yes, hail the panel, hail the chat. Everyone have a good night. Hopefully, most of you have a 3-day weekend coming up, and that you can enjoy that extra day off of work. You've earned it. Murph, you done good. Good. I was a little worried too that I still haven't got my thing for my camera. Hopefully, I can have my phone as a camera next week, and my face can finally be on it. I thought it'd be a little difficult not having any face on, and just having the pick on. But I think you need to pick a show rather than just have us shout out titles. I don't know. That's kind of half the fun though of just letting the letting kind of the natural flow just take us to where it's going. But I guess we could even do something like maybe the top 10 versus the top 10, something like that, to keep it a little bit more streamlined instead of just going back and forth. But I still think the 90s will kick the 80s ass. So next week it'll be something cartoons unless something changes. Well, I will definitely at least watch the first. I will say this. I will definitely by Tuesday watch the first 5 episodes of Gargoyle, and maybe I can get Derek to watch it. I'm pretty sure he's never seen even a second of it, and I think he'd be wowed because I don't think you'd expect it to be as good as it was. I'm just happy. I felt like I was the only one who I knew that liked it. I thought the show was great. So I don't know what's going on that Disney's just been sitting on it and not doing anything with it. But maybe that's could be our channel goals to get a hashtag gargoyles start going, so we can enjoy. Man, that would be awesome. I still think I'd rather CG, but I don't know. I guess we'd have to see what they'd be willing to do with it. But all right, so we're calling it a night. We'll talk some more cartoons this Tuesday. Everyone have a safe and happy rest of the week. It gets better as it builds. Yeah, I agree with. Yeah, man, I just remember it being great. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Definitely, you have a better rapport. Um, yeah, it's always better to have other people on than just yourself. But hey, it happens. Hey, Derek's done this by himself a lot more than I have. So, all right. Again, like, subscribe. See you guys next week. I'm out.